Hello and welcome to 10,000 Stitches Podcast, episode 33. My name is Andy and I like to make socks. Let's see. Very noisy car outside. Episode 33. I am currently recording on Monday, July 25th, and this episode will be up on Tuesday, July 26th. I'm guessing that this is going to be a much shorter episode than normal because Wesley has already started making dinner out there, so I don't really have that long to record because I am hungry. And I just don't have that much to talk about, but let's go ahead and get through it. I said last week that I don't really want to start skipping weeks just for the sake of skipping weeks, so let's get through it. Anyway, so like I said, my name is Andy. If you are looking for me on the interwebs, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Ravelry as Purlbug, P-U-R-L-B-U-G. My blog is at thepurlbug.com. And then I have the 10,000 Stitches Podcast Ravelry group. And if you are looking for links to anything that I mentioned today, like any patterns or anything like that, that will depend on where you're watching it. Watching this video will determine where you find those things. So if you're watching on the blog post for this episode or in the Ravelry thread for this episode, everything will be linked right below the video. If you're watching on YouTube, then below the video in the description box will be a link to the blog post for this episode. You can click that and then go there to find the links. There's also a link in the YouTube description to the Ravelry group if you'd prefer to do it that way. Yeah, I think that's all of that. So we're basically going to follow the sort of usual format. We'll talk about FOs, of which I have none, work in progress, what's coming up next, the knit along, a question of the week, and then just a little bit of chit chat. But I'm guessing that this will be maybe 20-minute episode. I'm going to try and do it all in one recording so that I don't have to piece together anything, but we'll see. I'm also not feeling great today. I didn't sleep very well last night. I have an existing neck condition from a car accident I got in a couple years ago. And unfortunately, I really like to sleep on my stomach. That's what my body wants to do, is sleep on my stomach. But now that I have this neck injury, I can't do that because I'll wake up the next day with just a horrible, horrible headache from having my head twisted all night. But the problem is that sometimes my body still just wants to do that no matter what I do. So last night I kept waking up and finding that I was sleeping on my stomach, and I'd have to reposition myself, and then I'd fall back asleep for a little bit and then wake up to do it all over again. So that's been my day. And I don't know if you can tell, looking at my screen, I think you can, which is the only reason I'm mentioning it. One of my eyes is also all swollen up. So yeah, it's been a good day for me. But anyway, let's talk about some knitting. So I just said I have no finished object. Wah, wah. I have a half object. So I will show you the finished half of my work in progress, and then I'll show you the part that's still in progress. So my current work in progress is the Stripe Tees socks. And like I said, I will link patterns down below the video. So these are a sock that is knit it's mostly knit flat. The only parts that are knit in the round are the cuff is knit in the round first. So it's a top-down sock, and so that you knit the cuff first in the round, and then you basically just do each of these stripes flat. So I forget which stripe it is that I started on. I think this was the stripe that I started on. So you start in the back. Sorry, that's what it was. So you knit this stripe, and then you go back along the side, then you knit this stripe, and then you go back along the side, and then you knit this stripe. And then you get all of those live stitches that are at the end, and then you knit the heel flap, you turn your heel, you knit the bottom of your foot. There's two options. You can knit the bottom of the foot either in the three stripes to kind of match what was going on before, or you can knit it all in one piece. I decided to go with all in one piece because, one, I didn't want the ridges from where the stripes join. And two, it's the bottom of the sock, so it's kind of no one's gonna see it, might as well do it the easy way. So then you knit that, and then basically what you do is you turn and you go all the way back up the side, and then you start knitting the front stripes. So you go, down, you pick up the stitches along the side, and then you knit down, pick up the stitches along the side, and then knit down. So it was a really cool, and then you knit the toe. You pick up all those live stitches, knit the toe. So Sorry, choked on my own spit a little bit. So it's a really easy sort of pattern, like as long as you're comfortable with picking up stitches. A lot of it's just back and forth, so if you don't like purling, I don't suggest this. But it was a really fun pattern to do, and it works really well with sort of long variegated yarns or like long color changes. So this one is made in Patons Kroy FX in the clover colors, and you can really kind of see how those colors work well with the stripes. So yeah, this one I really enjoyed. This is a 66 stitch sock, and it was knit on US size 1s. And yeah, the other thing, the other modification that I made to the pattern, the only modification really that I made to the pattern, is that I did not do the edges of the stripes the way that the pattern designer said, like slipping the stitches. I did a garter edge because that's how I prefer to do edging, is if I'm going to pick up stitches again on them. And so I did that, and it worked out just fine. A note that I will make is that in the pattern author says that, you know, you pick your number of stitches based on like your normal sort of sock size in a number that's divisible by 6. So for me, you know, I took 64. The closest divisible by 6 number to that is 66. So I did a 66 stitch sock. But then the designer says to add another 6 stitches onto that because you lose those 6 stitches when you slip the edges. But I didn't do that, and it still fits fine. So like, I think if I had added 6 stitches, it would have been way too big. Like, it's a perfect fit right now. So I think that might just be unique to if you're doing it with a garter edging, then you maybe don't have to worry about it. That's what I did, and it's working. So yeah, so this sock fits really well. I didn't think it was going to fit really well. It didn't look like it was going to fit really well, but it totally does. It just looks really deceptive when you're in the middle of it. So then this is the second one. So obviously I'm not trying to match up colors at all. So this one is a little bit darker, you know, to kind of to start with. And then this is how the rest of the ball looks. So I'm hoping I'll get some really cool stripes on the top of the foot with the ball looking like that. But yeah, this one I did the back already, and then I turned the heel, and so I'm kind of in the middle of the bottom of the foot. But yeah, it's going really well. It's just a matter of chugging through it, and I just haven't been making as much progress as I would like on it. So, because things have been busy at work and home and stuff, and I've just been doing things. So, go figure. But yeah, excuse me. That's my work in progress. And what's coming up next? So I mentioned last week how I was putting off Broken Jack, the Broken Jack socks that I really want to do until I'm done with this like no spend 2-week time period that I'm doing. So those are still, I think, going to get put off because I think I'm going to finish the stripe tees before I am done with this like no spend thing. So I think I'm going to put off the Broken Jack for a little bit. And I think the next pair of socks that I'm going to start are the Peppermint Toes. I think that's what it's called, Peppermint Toes. And those are kind of an interesting sock. It's like a mitered garter stitch square sock. And I have no idea. I've just barely sort of looked at the pattern. I'm not really sure how it works, but it looks like it's kind of another modular one. So I'm super excited about that. And I think I'm going to use this yarn for it. And this yarn is from Friends in Fiber. And it is a superwash BFL nylon in this sort of variegated green, which I think will work well with that sort of mitered square pattern. I think the highly variegated yarn will work really well with it. So that I think will be the next one, and then after that I will finally get to Broken Jack, and then that one is going to be done using my Knit Picks Fleechy in the Time Traveler colorway. So yeah, I'm very excited about that one. That one I'm just like super stoked about because I keep seeing pictures of it and it looks super fun, and I'm just waiting till I lift my spending ban to buy that pattern. But yeah, that's what's coming up next. And speaking of that, so the knit along, I'm pretty sure we still just have a couple of finished objects. I'm just gonna look really quick. Doop, 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 doop. Yeah, we just have a couple of finished objects, 3. So I kind of mentioned that I think, just finished objects are going to roll in a little bit slow for this one, which is fine. I'm hoping to see a few more soon, but yeah, if you are, participating in the knit along, keep chugging along. Feel free to post, progress pictures or vent frustrations maybe in the chatter thread because, you know, these are sort of weird socks. And so I realized that that makes them not necessarily the best socks to do a knit along for. But, you know, we're just about halfway through the knit along. We're almost to the end of July. So, you know, just got to get through August and then we'll be into color work, which I'm super excited about. But I'm really excited for some of the remaining, you know, unusual construction socks that I have coming up. So yeah, not much for knit along news, but we're chugging along. So then, I guess I will do question of the week. So last week's question of the week, I asked about like music from your high school or college years that, you know, you still hear today and you're like, yeah, that's my jam. And I got some really good, you know, links to videos and stuff and, you know, different music that, you know, some of it is, you know, is from kind of my time period where I'm like, oh yeah, I love that song. And some of it's a little bit older. And like some of them, even like the older ones, like I grew up listening to a lot of like, you know, oldies music. So I mean, a lot of those, like I still have a lot of appreciation for, and I listen to them and I'm like, heck yeah. So that was really fun to like kind of, you know, get a glimpse into like what other people, you know, really enjoy listening to. So this week is another not knitting related question because I just had to come up with something really fast because like I said, it's Monday when I'm recording, so I had to hurry up and get this kind of pulled together. But anyway, so this next week, Wesley and I think, well, actually tomorrow, we are going to be going to see the new Star Wars movie because the theater close to our place does like cheap movie nights on Tuesdays. So I think, you know, we went to see my movie last week. I think he's going to take us to a movie this week and we're going to go see Star Wars. So my question of the week this week is, not Star Wars, Star Trek. Gosh. Anyway, that was my question of the week this week. Are you a Star Wars or a Star Trek fan? Because it seems like people sort of fall into one of those two camps. Like they love one and are not crazy about the other. So I am a Star Trek fan. I am not a Star Wars fan. I've seen the original trilogy. I've seen episode 1 and 2. I never saw episode 3, and I have not seen the most recent one. Mostly just because I just don't care. Like, the story is just not interesting to me. It's just not what I get excited about. But Star Trek, and I don't even love all Star Trek. Like, I don't like the original Star Trek. I do not like Deep Space Nine. I like The Next Generation, and I like Star Trek Voyager. I don't like Star Trek Enterprise, you know, sort of like the prequel series that they did. I don't like that one. I don't actually like a lot of the movies, but I have been liking the new kind of set that they're doing, like the new reboot. Just because, I don't know, they're a little more action-y sort of movies, and I like them. They're good. So I'm interested to see this one. I know I saw the last one, but I don't really remember much of it because I saw it like once in theaters and that was it. So anyway, so my question is Star Wars or Star Trek? Or if maybe there's like a different sci-fi sort of universe that you're into. Like I know there's like the Firefly universe or I don't know, like Battlestar Galactica or something. Like, you know, if maybe there's a smaller, you know, sort of sci-fi space-based universe that you are more interested in, what is it? I'd be very curious to know. And if you're going to be seeing the new Star Trek movie, what do you think of it? So yeah, I guess that's it for all of the knitting and then, you know, sort of not knitting related things with the question of the week. But yeah, and then I'll just do a little bit of chit chat. I think I'm going to keep this under 20 minutes and then go help Wesley finish fixing up dinner. So yeah, a little bit of chit chat. Anyway, so if you're done here, thank you very much for hanging out with me. I'm hoping to have a more interesting episode next week and, you know, hopefully when I'm not super tired and all, you know, horribly eye disfigured, it'll be a better episode. But anyway, thanks for hanging out. Otherwise, let's talk a little bit of chit chat. So talking about movies, I mentioned last week that we were going to be going and seeing the new Ghostbusters movie, and we did, and it was so good. I'm a big fan of the older movies. I don't think Wesley is as much of a fan as I am. I mean, he's seen them and he thinks they're okay, but he's not as much of a fan. He thought the new one was definitely better than the old ones. I think it's equally as good, but I think that's just because I'm such a fan of the old ones. But I think it was really good. And it's really interesting because it's sort of, like, I don't want to spoil it, but sort of the way that it is it's not a sequel. Like, it's as if Ghostbusters never existed, but there's all kinds of nods to the old movie. But like, you know, in this kind of world that they're in, there was no previous Ghostbusters. Like, they are starting it for the first time. But yeah, it was really good. It's really funny. I like the all-female cast. Like, I know some people have a problem with that, and I don't understand why. Like, it's 2016. Like, what kind of a pig are you? But anyway, I think the all-female cast is great, and it's very funny, and I highly recommend that people go see it, or at least, like, see it maybe when it goes to a discount theater, or rent it when it comes out on video. But I thought it was really good, definitely worth seeing. I highly recommend. So we saw that last week, last Tuesday, last cheat movie night. And then I'm trying to think of what else. Like, basically, since then, my whole life has just been dominated with how hot it's been. Like, it has been very, very hot here the past couple of days. Yesterday we had a heat advisory. Today we have a heat advisory. If you're new here, by the way, I live in Richmond, Virginia. So it is just in general hotter here than I'm used to, like back in the Midwest. But and humid. It's been super humid. But so I think yesterday when we were driving around, the thermometer in Wesley's car said it was like 104. So I mean, it's been hot, and we like walked home from campus just before I sat down to record this. So we were both just dying and sweating and gross. And and it's just like it's really funny because we keep our apartment at 79 degrees, and you don't realize how nice 79 degrees feels until you're coming in from 100 degrees outside. Then it's like, oh, 70 degrees, this is or 79 degrees, this is fantastic, So, it's just been really, really hot, and so we've been just trying to avoid melting into little puddles. But so it's been hot. I mentioned last week that I'm kind of over summer. I also realized today that I'm over, like, summer, like, time at school, like with my work. I'm over the summer schedule. I'm really ready to get back into kind of the normal swing of things in the regular semester. Not that it's ever super normal, like, because we work on semesters, it's like things are only normal for like a month or two, and then it gets weird again, and then it's normal is abnormal for me, basically. But I'm ready to get back into the semester, and so but luckily for us, it's like less than a month before classes start, so I'll get that wish I will get that wish before summer here will actually end. But and then next week we are heading to DC for a long weekend for the Fountain Pen Convention that's being held there. So I'm super excited for that. I'm also going to try and hit up, at the very least, the yarn store that I went to last time I was there, and maybe another one, and maybe I'll pick up a prize for this knit along while I'm up there. We'll see. But I'm pretty excited for that. I also get to see my mom in DC for the first time since we went home in May. So I mean, it hasn't been that long, but given that I so rarely get to see any of my family, it's really nice that she's making the trip out now. She's actually the first of either anyone in my family or Wesley's family who is coming out here, although she's just coming to DC, but she's the first to come out here. So and Wesley's parents, if you're watching this, because I know you do, it's on you now. It's up to you guys to come out and visit us. But so I'm super excited for that trip. It'll be really fun. I get to see a lot of like people that I only know online that I get to see once a year at this thing. So it'll be fun. And then the only other thing, maybe I'll keep this under 20 minutes. The only other thing is I mentioned my no spend fortnight. Last week I talked about this, that like I'm just kind of trying to do like this like detox thing where I'm just like trying to not spend money and like break myself of this habit of just like it's like it's just like the little things. It's like, oh, I want coffee today, so then I go buy coffee, but it's like you do that 10 times in a paycheck and then that's $20 gone, and stuff like that. So I'm just trying to get better with my money. So I did this whole like no spend fortnight where basically between one paycheck and another, no spending on anything other than what's necessary. So like food, and I did buy the tickets for the movie last week because we had already decided that before I made that little thing. But that's pretty much been it. Otherwise, I've just spent money on like groceries, and I had to mail a package. And it's actually been going really well. Most of it is just because I haven't been taking money with me to campus. Like when I go to work during the day, I just don't bring my wallet with me. And it's as simple as that, because I don't drive, so I don't have to bring a license or anything with me. And that's just all there is to it. I know that I've packed my lunch, and it's like, well, what else do I need to spend money on during the day? Nothing. So it turns out that's really been the secret. And even this weekend when Wesley and I were, out and about, and I did take my, card with me and stuff, it's been pretty easy to just say, no, I don't need that. And Wesley's been definitely helpful too, because he, of course, knows that I'm doing this. So, I'll say, I want Starbucks. And of course, I know that I'm not going to get it, but he's like, you don't need it. And I'm like, I know, but I want it. And sometimes it's just, it's just a matter of expressing that you want something, even though you don't need it and don't want to have it, but you want it. So yeah, that's been the past week of my life. So I actually am going to go, help Wesley finish up getting dinner ready. And this is the dress that I wore to work today, which I wanted to keep on because it looks nice to record in, but I'm still a little bit sweaty, so I'm excited to change into a pair of just like shorts and a tank top for the rest of the night, because like I said, 79 degrees does feel pretty good compared to 100 and something outside, but it's still kind of warm, so I do kind of want to change into shorts and a tank top. So yeah, I'm gonna go do that. Anyway, thanks for hanging out with me. I am hoping that next week's episode will be more exciting, but thanks for joining me for a short one this week, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.